I need to restart. Sorry if you're chatting just now. Just 1 second. I had an internet drop there. So I need to just start this back up on. Oh, good. Let's get this back up. Go to live studio. Yes, I know, but I need to get my live back up. Okay, I think we've got the other chats back up there. I don't know what happened there. We had a bit of a surge. Okay, we're back up. We're back up and running. So strange that happened. I don't know why that happened. But we're talking about the O'Quinlans. And yeah, so finding Munster, finding Ulster, Meath, sorry. So there are a lot of variations, and it can come from the O'Connellans sometimes anglicized to O'Quinlan too. So you get quite a lot of variations. Hey, you cut off too. No, it's back up. Celtic Cat. It's back up. I had an internet drop. I don't know what caused that. No idea what caused the drop there. Chris McCormick, I have a McCormick video. If you want to have a look at that. But it comes the McCormicks come from the two eponyms, the O'Cormacans and Cormac. A lot of there's about like 10 unrelated branches in Ireland or something like that, and one Scottish. So yeah, you get a lot of unrelated family. A lot of unrelated families in. Was Lynch in the north there? Yes, most people associate Lynch with Galway, one of the 14 tribes of Galway, and oh, hang on, is this up and running? Oh, that's why. Oh, do you know what I hate? Right, let's. Why does it always go to private? Right. Where's my chat gone now? There it is. Right. Okay. So we're back. Right. Yeah, Lynch. We were doing Lynches. So Lynch has yeah. Oh, too far. Lynch is normally associated with the Norman name in Galway. These were a mercantile family who were part of the political and mercantile life of Galway. They administered it. They were a very powerful family in Galway for about 3 centuries. I believe in their most would sort of claim an Irish descent. For this branch, but I suspect it's more than likely a Norman descent for this branch. But there are Lynches found outside in Galway who may not be unrelated and may actually be of an Irish line. So we've got them, but you also have the Lynches who are descended from the Dalriada in Antrim, so they're totally unrelated. Part of the, let me get this, and then we come here. So they're related to the Dalriada tribal group in Antrim, and they're also related to another branch is related to the Ken O'Connell, the Lynches of Fanad in Donegal. So these are three unrelated families, normally associated with Lynchy, Lindsay, because it comes from Oloinzig, so it gets translated into multiple sort of branches, multiple unrelated branches. O'Grady, yeah, O'Grady's are associated with primarily with the Dalkosh, who we did a talk about last Friday. We had a nice little 20-minute conversation about the Dalkosh. Here you go, this group here, which obviously were ruled primarily by the O'Briens, as that's why they're in a massive, a massive sort of name there. But yeah, that's the so you get O'Grady. Sometimes they've been anglicised later on to O'Brady as well, so you'll find O'Brady's in that area, a very small number. But yeah, O'Grady and O'Brady sort of overlap in that sort of area. There's also mention of the MacGrady's, who obviously in the 19th century in Ireland, what happened is that a lot of families readopted. They dropped the O's and Mucks in the 16th century, and then reapplied them in reapplied them later on. So they applied them incorrectly. So you'll get some Grady's who are there's a small branch associated with County Down. So you get a small branch associated with County Down too, who are unrelated. They're an unrelated line, but I don't know who they're descended from. Hi Finola. Yeah, Red Button channel. Chat went down. It had a crash. It wasn't anything you did. It just, I don't know why. The signal, my internet just dropped briefly. Have a wee drink there. So yeah. Apparently the O'Shaughnessy's from Galway were wiped out in the famine. No. The O'Shaughnessy's are still there in large numbers. Still plenty of them. And as a clan system, the clan system was pretty much destroyed in in its final in 1608. So centuries before the famine. So yeah, there's O'Doherty. I have a. Why did the E prefix of Irish names not come back with the O? So because the E isn't from Irish surnames, they're more tribal groups. They encompass a larger area, so they're not really. They were never used as so. What confuses people is that you have, which I'll show you here, with the E. I don't think the E. Alright, so the E-Neil, see this here, the E-Neil, and everyone thinks that was translated then into the O'Neills, but the E-Neil get their name from a semi-historical character, warlord in Ulster called Niall Noglach, or more famously known as Niall of the Nine Hostages. Some stories attribute him to being the one who captured St. Patrick. But that's not where the O'Neills get their name from. Although they are descended from this person, or they claim descent from this person, and they claim descent from this tribal group, the E-Neil, a branch of the E-Neil became known as the Kenalowan. And then from the Kenalowan, the O'Neills appear. Much later on, centuries later. These are centuries of sort of transition. So the O'Neills actually take their name from the King of Ulster in the 9th or 10th century, Niall Glundov. So sort of 400, 500 years after this Niall of the Nine Hostages exists. So yeah, it's And obviously then, but that doesn't mean obviously we've talked about this before. I don't know if any of you knew. It doesn't mean that this O'Neill is there are multiple unrelated O'Neill branches. So they're found all over Ireland. There's sort of three main branches that sort of exist um, in Ireland. Gallagher, depending on your pronunciation, is associated with Donegal, related to Kenalcall. Another family who, again, sort of claimed descent from Conall, who I believe is the son of, or claimed son of, um, of uh, Niall. So they come from a lot of places. Come from one place. They, I believe, a large number of them ended up in sort of North Connacht, so Mayo, stuff like Sligo, but um, these are all related. Now, there's been in some of in secondary sources, they sort of claim, it could be Vikings or other people, because I think Gallagher sort of means like foreign soldier. But their traditional narrative is they are descended from the Ken O'Connell, so therefore related to the O'Donnells. And I believe um, uh, uh, modern DNA sort of supports this too. So we have um, plenty of evidence that's one of the that's true. So I've already sort of touched on the O'Clery tonight, part of the Efiagra Anya, sometimes anglicised to Clark, and the O'Clerys. So there's I've already sort of touched on them, but they were part of the Efiagra Anya, and they sort of end up being dispersed. I can't remember if they were dispersed by their cousins, the O'Shaughnessy's, but they certainly ended up moving on and becoming historians for the O'Donnells and and many others. So yeah, I hope that's so. I mean, I don't know if you can watch the live back, or I'll just cover them another night. We'll see. We'll see. Anything on the Cadden? Campbell? Well, okay. We'll do Campbell and I'll do Cadden. So Campbells are the most people associate them with the Scottish surname, the Campbells, but there are unrelated Irish families too that have the surname Campbell. It is so the Campbells of Scotland obviously are famous for being from Argyll and probably the second most successful family in Scottish history. But here they are, and they came across to Ireland. Primarily, the majority came across during the plantations in the 17th century. But there are Irish families that took on the surname Campbell. The first one being the McCowells of Tyrone. They would adopt the name Campbell. And then you would have I think it's the Cahallins. But anyway, yeah, I do have a video. They would become Campbells as well. So you get a lot of Campbells who are of native Irish descent too. They're not just Scottish. But they are. There is a video on that. If you want to go into the TikTok and just click it. But yeah. We were talking about McCaddens. Dr. Wolf, who wrote a lot of information on the name. I believe it comes from like Macaden in Armagh. is the area where it's sort of mostly associated with. Um, and they were associated with I think they were an earner family, so they were landholding families with interment. They were uh, hereditary landholding families in churches, and they provided the abbots and stuff like that. And I believe the McCaddens are associated with Armagh. There is another branch in um, um, that Grenham. Grenham. So if anyone like Grenham has a great site for starting your interest in surnames. He has a large list of names, uh, but Grenham sort of associates it, I believe, with Connacht. So there is it's associated with sort of Galway, um, Sligo, Roscommon, you know, Mayo, this sort of area of the world. So I don't know uh, who they descend from in Connacht, but yeah, the most those are the two sort of origin points for the name Cadden. O'Mara is from Upper Ormond or O'Meara. Uh, O'Mara. Um, uh, I have a full sort of 20-minute video on them. Their traditional history, if you Google them, the problem is that if you Google them, they will come up with their descent from the Dalcash, so related to like O'Brien. But Dr. Cormac, no, not Dr. Cormac McSparn, Dr. McCotter, Paul McCotter actually believes they may actually descend from Kilkenny, and were given the lands in Ormond by the Butlers. So there's always that. I suppose I do believe some genetics point to some branches being O'Briens or descend from the same lines as O'Briens and O'Kennedys, and others are miscellaneous. So um, I suppose the jury's out on that. Is there a Malone? I never could find it. There's no Malones on here at the minute, but the Malones are the most famous Malones are associated with Clonmacnoise. That's probably the most famous branch. So again, this neck of the woods. They're they were, I believe, earners or corbs, which is successors of saints. I can't remember which one, but they're associated with Clonmacnoise, which is a very famous ecclesiastical site. Um, uh, and I believe they sort of associate themselves with the O'Connors in their traditional sort of narrative. Um, they're definitely, and the branches in sort of Clare and Wexford would sort of traditionally claim descent from um, from them, but I've been unable to sort of like verify that um, uh, in their sort of origin, and I believe it was they take their name from Muel Owen, so that's the Malone Muel Owen. It's like a devotee of Saint John. So yeah. Uh, um, the Quinn, yeah, Quinn's another name that Quinn's got a lot of so like the McQuinn's, coins, Queen. You know, there are a lot of sort of variations of the name found all over Ireland. So the first branch is actually from Inchquin, which is a place in Clare, and they they claim descent from the Dalcash, who are sort of sort of like the O'Briens, McNamara's, sort of all those sort of would be their distant cousins. Then you have the Quinns, who are related to the O'Farrells, so they're found in Longford. and they're another branch that are associated with um, a totally unrelated family, but they sort of claimed in their traditional narrative claimed descent from the O'Farrells, and then you have the Quinns that are famously related to the O'Neills through Clan Ferguson, and they were in their traditional narrative they are actually quartermasters for the O'Neills, so they would deal with. Whenever there's like warfare or anything like that, they would deal with the logistics, the armoring of the troops, the feeding of the troops, etc. So that's their traditional stories that they are the quartermasters for the O'Neills. But there is another Quinn up in who are part of the Cianocta, so related to the O'Connors of North Derry, and they are, but they would be sort of, um, well, North Derry, Antrim, you know who they are. So they may be related to the likes of the O'Connors of Antrim and Derry. Then you have the O'Quinns of Mayo. Have I got them on here? Oh yeah, Sligo Mayo. Again, they're descended from the Efiacra, but the Efiacra Mui, so not related to, well, they are distantly related, but they're not related to like the O'Shaughnessy's or the O'Clearys. These ones are related to the O'Dowds. So that would be their sort of distant cousins and stuff like that. So, and then there is another O'Quinn, if I can remember, if I can find it in Donegal. I think they're around Rappo. Again, they're related to the O'Neills as well. But they're not from the same line as this one. So even though they are cousins, they're not related to the same line. So O'Quinn has a lot of sort of a lot of variations, a lot of origin points. Some of them are distantly related. So Dunleavy, yes, Dunleavys are from my neck of the woods. Have I even got them on here? No, surprisingly, which is, you know, which is surprising. Yeah, the Dunleavys were kings of the Ullid. The true Ullid, they called themselves. They were part of the Dal Fiatach. So it's really interesting that the Ullid title of being the Ullid, the tribal group, the Ullid, I don't know if I've got that on here. This tribal group here, this tribe was became more of a title that was adopted by multiple families. Would claim it or claim descent from it, and so but they were. The Dalfiatuk claimed to be the true Ullid, the first Ullid. Here they are. They claim to be the original, the founders. But there is a Kerry branch as well, unrelated. It's normally today it's more Dunlea. Rather than Dunleavy, but they are sort of interchangeable. So they do exist in this area too as an unrelated branch as Dunlea. But obviously the Dunleavys would sort of Ulster are the ones that sort of spread into Connacht and Ulster, and the rest of Ulster. So yeah, it's a name that got about. Ooh. Any Auntie T, I'll do that in 2 seconds, not a problem. Not a problem at all. I've got just a couple of names here. Kavna was one of the ones that people were asking about earlier before I had that crash, so I'm trying to get some of them as much as I can. Kavna is the most famous branch of Kavnas are related to the MacMurroghs from Dermot MacMurrough, king in the 12th century of Leinster. His son Kavna is the seen as the progenitor of uh, um, one of the branches. But you also have Donald Kavanagh as well, 14th 15th century individual from Leinster. Their tribal group that they sort of claim descent from is the Ekin Silla. This group here. That's the tribal group they sort of claim descent from. But obviously, like every um, uh, family, there's multiple unrelated branches. There's one in Kerry, um, uh, uh, one in Kerry who are what are they normally anglicised to, like Kievan is a variation of it, and then there are the Kavanaghs in Ulster, who are, I believe, I can't remember if they're part of the Kinloan or the Cianachta, but they are found in around Derry. So there's quite a variation of the name, but they're found. The most famous branch is the ones from Munster. So, friends just text me. Can you have my surname? Well, not. um, oh, hang on. A lot of chat happening in my. Oh, hi, Caveman. How are you doing? It's great to see you in. Great to see you in. Gypsy. Yeah, I'll get you two. Just give me 2 seconds. I do see you. I do see your name. Just give me literally 2 seconds, and I'll get to it. I've got a couple of members in tonight, so super fans in tonight. So I want to try and get you as many as I can. Let me just No, it's alright. Art, not a problem. Art by Laura, no, not a problem whatsoever. Uh, uh, did I miss it? My phone froze. No, you didn't miss it. I haven't got to it yet. I'll try and get to it next. I've got a couple of you don't have to gift, by the way, everyone who's gifting. I do really appreciate it. It helps the channel so much, but you do not have to gift to try and get your name mentioned. But those of you that have gifted, Slarty, Art by Laura, Auntie, Teach, Meredith, Pig Smoke, Stay Connected, Erin, Tired, Just Plain Tired, Tom, Venus, Auntie T, Debbie, Low Jacks, Janice, Ruth, Branch, Sonsory, Bailey, Vinny, Tyler, Dylan, your favourite, Kill165, Crystal, Victoria, Spook Show, Katie, JY, Jonathan, Christine, Stacy, Tez, Dr. Sugarma, Claymore, Liz Lou, Signal, Joko, Red Hot Gem. Thank you so much. You don't have to gift to get your name mentioned, though. I really do appreciate it. But you don't have to. But I always say it does help the channel a lot. But if you do have some loose change in your back pocket and want to think about becoming a members only fan, members only or super fan, I do a members only super fan live on a Friday where you can sort of not have to fight with multiple chats and 200 odd people in all the chats. So yeah, you don't have to if you're looking for something, um, try that. But I do appreciate it all the same. Thank you so very much. But I try not to. Um, I only prioritize super fans. But apart from that, you don't have to give to get your name mentioned. History should be free to all. So, um, yes, Dave Murray. Yeah, like I say, uh, comes from so many different branches. Murray, you've got um, the Murrays of County Down, who are part of the Edeca Keen. Um, you know, you've got the Scottish Murrays as well that come across and settled in County Down, so there's a lot of overlap there. Um, you've got the variations from the McMurrays, any Murphy branches. They're all sort of associated too. Um, and then you've got uh, you know um, the Viner branches of Murray can be associated with the Viner, so related to the O'Kellys. And then you got the Teffier branch from Westmeath as well. You've got the Cork family as well, the O'Murrays from Cork. So there's quite a lot of, and that's not even half of them. You know, you've got the Leitrim branch, you've got the, there's so many variations of it, and so many branches of Murray, and so many eponyms. From McGillimurray, or I think that McGillimurray is like the devotee of Saint Mary, the Virgin Mary, and then you have obviously Murray and Murdoch. So yeah, Murray comes from a lot of branches. Murrays are very common, so that's why it's so common in Ireland. Maguire is one of my super fans was asking about Maguire. So I promised I'd give them one. So I need to do the video on this because I've had the notes for this for a little while. So, but yeah, the Maguires are from Fermanagh. If you, I've been they. If you go to Fermanagh, you'll see it's all Maguire territory. They were their heartland is a place called Lisniski, and they're associated with like the Loch Earn. They actually are sort of first attested in the 10th century in the annals, but it's not really till the 13th century that they sort of come to power. Obviously, they like Macaulay's in the area, and McCaffrey's and McHugh's and McManus. They're all related to the Maguires. They're all cadet branches of the Maguires, but they don't have. It's one of those names that it's a single origin name. It's not associated with anywhere else that we know of. It's not attested with anywhere else. So it seems that if you are Maguire, this is your sort of heartland is Fermanagh. So which is quite cool. To think that like most, like if you're a Byrne, if you're a King, which are names I'm going to come up with in a minute. You've maybe got so many unrelated branches, but Maguires can literally just put themselves into one location and one history, which is something I'm very envious about. I don't. And then another member was asking about the surname King. Now, King is associated with a few names, such as Comrie. But Comrie comes from Mac Comrie and Whale Comrie, so there's two sort of unrelated branches already. And then Okionga, which was the Brehan family, like a legal family. So you and then there it comes from Macanry as well, so literally the son of the king, uh, which then leads into uh, a number of McFinn as well. It sort of comes from, um, which is a anglicized from McFinn. So there's, and then you have the Scottish and English king surname as well. So we'll go through some of the main ones because I don't know them all because there's just so many. Um, there's so many branches of king and where the surname king. So the we'll go through like say the main ones. So the Okionga is is associated with Meath. And they're the Brehon family. They're the legal family. They're the ones that are attested in the annals. Then so they're found in Meath, and then you have the Macomry. So the son of the king is basically that sort of variation of that name. They are found in Galway, and they sort of associate themselves with the O'Briens. So you kind of get those. But they're in Galway, so they're descended from the Dalcash. Then the O'Mweel Conry, excuse, excuse me, who were poets actually for the O'Connors, are associated with like Roscommon. So you can see how there's a lot of bleeding area where they could be unrelated. Um, um, then, as I've sort of stated before, we had we obviously started dropping our O's and anglicising and dropping our Macs from our name and anglicising our names in the 16th and 17th century. And then a lot of families tried to re-Gaelicise their names in the 19th century, so you'd get people sort of re-Gaelicising their names, and sometimes this was done in error. Or sometimes they were just mistranslated earlier on. So like the McFinns or the McGinns and the McFerrahy or the McGarrys is a normal name for it, are found in Armagh, is another area for the king surname, which often then confuses people because if you are Scottish or English plantation stock you've come across and you've settled in Armagh, it sort of blurs the names a bit, the origin points for the names a bit. So yeah, it's Quentin, don't spam it in on the Red Button channel, please. Thank you. Why did they drop the why did they drop? I've seen it, Quinton. I will get to it. Why did they drop the O's and the Macs? Because we started to do to anglicize our names. We were sort of now under. We were completely conquered. 1608. We were fully incorporated in a new English empire. It's not really the empire, but English kingdoms, and with that becomes. You start having English clerics, English lords, English tax collectors, whatever. All these officials start writing a name. Now, Edmund Spencer, a few decades earlier, had sort of made a point about dropping the O's and the Macs. The point is that when you sort of colonize a country, you sort of try and strip away as many as these like national identities as you can to homogenize and incorporate the new peoples into your territory. Obviously, the more differences you have, the more likely you are to rebel, to have an us and them attitude. So a number of other reasons for doing it. Sometimes it was just laziness on some officials' part, just to not bother putting it in. So, so it was done for a number of reasons. Someone was asking earlier about the McCleroys. Sorry, they asked earlier uh, and I was too busy talking about other things. Yes, so the McGillery, there's a lot of branches. The first one, the McGillerua, are probably associated. McGillerua is probably associated with Fermanagh, but I don't know if they're associated with the Maguire. So you get that branch there. But the more common sort of variation is the McElroy, and they're Scottish. But obviously, all the names are interchangeable. So Fermanagh was heavily planted by Scottish settlers too. So you will get McElroys and McLeroys and McGilroys all living together, but they're of less native Irish and independent sort of Scottish Gaelic bearers of the name um, in the same areas. So McLeroy, like I say, so um, that's someone's asked, one of my members was asking about uh, Burn. I have a one of my super fans was asking about Burn. I have a full video on this branch of the Burns, the O Burns of Wicklow, on my Red Button channel. But obviously, it's a name that's associated with Scotland and Ireland because there's multiple variations of the name, and they all sort of come from uh, um, multiple branches. So the Old Burns of Wicklow come from the E Dunley, a tribal group in northern Leinster, sort of associated more with, it came across from sort of Kildare, and then they sort of became kings of Leinster in like the 11th century. But you also have the Old Burns. Here we go. So this branch they're often anglicised the same way. These O'Byrnes are part of the Silmurrihy, so they're related to like the McDermotts and the O'Connors. The Silmurrihy are another group that are descended from the Ebruin, who and a lot of. So this is the wrong side of the map. So this is the Silmurrihy, who are, like I say, related to the wider Ebruin. So that's another one, and then you've got a number of other sort of branches that just sort of appear all over the place, like the branch in Longford claimed descent from the Wicklow branch, but genetics has proven that they're not related at all. And then you've got the Scottish Burn, Burn, but like we've already well established, just because it's spelt one way doesn't mean it's not the same way. So, low numbers, high quality. Oh, thank you. Anything on the crummy name? It's Crummy and Crummy, and I believe it's got its etymology. Somehow it's related to the same way Campbell is, but I can't remember if it's like nose or no, it's like crooked or something. But the crummy is mostly associated with Armagh. There's actually Ballycrummies in Armagh. I don't know that because my family's from Armagh. That's where it's mostly associated with. But you obviously got the Crummy as well, or Crombie, which are Scottish. They're from Aberdeenshire. And they obviously come across in the 17th century. But you've also got the English Crummies as well. So there's literally three ways that the name can you can be Scottish, English, or of Irish descent, depending. And because the Crummies are from Armagh, which was planted by both. You can sort of see here The plantation map. Plantation map. Where is it? Oh, did not save it. Trust me not to save it. But yeah, oh, I did. Oh. You can see how it's been planted by everyone. So it's kind of hard to distinguish between the branches. Quentin, you don't have to spam on. Oh, Wanda, thank you very much for those TikToks. You don't have to gift. I really do appreciate it, though. Thank you very much. You don't have to spam on Red Button. It's a lot quieter. It's a smaller chat on there, so you don't have to. But I will do the Cadigans. It's not a problem. The Cadigan is one of those names. It's got an Irish. It's traditionally associated with an Irish branch and a Welsh branch, or so you get sort of native Irish and Welsh settlers. I believe the Welsh Cadigans, are more associated with later migration Welsh into Ireland rather than the early Norman sort of migrations into Cambro-Norman, the Welsh Normans in the 12th century. The Cadigans are from like Dublin and Meath are much later. Sort of you're talking about the 16th century during the Tudor period. So they're a later addition than sort of other sort of Welsh families. The other one is the Irish Cadigans are associated with Cork. From the O'Keedagan. So, but yeah, a place called, where's it called? It's something like, it's an island anyway, or it's got island in its name. But yeah, they're West Cork from Carbery, so that's the area where the native Irish branch are related from, or related to. It's no really. Bye Yuri. Take care. Thank you very much. I hope I don't know. Thank you. Very helpful. Always great stuff, Sir Ulster. I mean, we are the true Irishmen. Anyone from Ulster knows this. You know, the Cork, Connacht, and Leinster should just feel so grateful to be in our presence of us Ulstermen. You know. I mean, we only allow them to use the term Irish because we're so nice. Okay, I've already done Quinn tonight. So Clan Gun. So Clan Gun is obviously a Scottish branch. I don't really cover Scottish history so much. I do on my Red Button channel, a lot more detail on my Red Button channel. But I will say, and they claim descent from a Norse settler. But I will say that if you are interested in Scottish branches, that a good friend of mine at Scottish Clans podcast is well worth a watch on multiple platforms. He's well worth a watch, and he does what I do with my videos, but better on Scottish families. So please check him out. Tell him I sent you. If you've got any Scottish history you wish to know about, he's definitely one to go. So Scottish Clans podcast is great stuff. Great stuff. Hang on. Oh wow! What have I? Oh wow! What have I missed? What have I missed? Do you know any? Do you know more about the Driscoll clan? My family name. I only know bits and pieces. I have a video on the Driscolls. If you go down to the bottom, not the bottom. If you go down to the middle of my TikTok, you look for a white shield with a black ship on it. Because I don't think I put the name on it. Um, you can see all the history on the Driscolls. Um, um, uh, I'll check him out. Also, I heard McClintock is Scots Irish. Well, I mean, I tend to avoid that term. Ulster Scot, Scots Irish. Um, I mean, I get Ulster Scot is more of a modern, like more of a modern term. Um, but Scots Irish, uh, because most of the people that came across with the plantations, the Scottish families that came across, and the English families, they all came across together, didn't really intermarry with the Irish. And a lot of the people who are Scots Irish or Ulster Scot in America, the diaspora, America, Australia, Canada, a lot of their families didn't actually marry into Irish families. They were only in Ireland for two generations, three generations. So their grandfathers came across, and then they moved on to the further afield. Obviously, that term sort of comes that way, generations later, and to the modern day, you would get Ulster Scots, I'm sure, because there's a lot of intermarrying now. But a lot of them didn't intermarry with the native Irish, and before they moved on to America. But I don't. The term for the Ulster Scot or Scots Irish, I feel, does apply for some families like the MacDonalds, the McRorys, the McQuinlans, who have been here for since the 14th century. They were intermarrying. So yeah, I kind of avoid that term. I have a bit of a a bit of a thing with it. But is it Scots? But it is. It's maybe not Scots Irish, but it is Scottish and Irish. There are Irish and Scottish branches for um, uh, the McClintock surname. So there are two sort of distinct families um, uh, that are unrelated that have uh, the McClintock. Now, I believe the McClintocks of Scotland are from Argyll somewhere, but I couldn't tell you any more than that. And I'm sure uh, if you go to Scottish Clans podcast, he will um, uh, tell you a lot more than I could ever tell you um, about the Scottish branch and where it's from and sort of anything like that. So, but then they I know they would come across. It's quite a big name in Donegal. Um, so I'm sure if you are of Scottish McClintock stock from Ulster, Ireland, you're going to be associated with Donegal and um, uh, Derry. As for the Irish sort of branch of the name, the Irish branch is also found in Donegal, so they're related to the Kennel Connell. So there's a lot of association in the same areas, but it was a lot. It was a smaller name, and it may also, from what I remember about the early sources I read about it, it may also be that this branch of McClintocks in Donegal are just a separate branch of the Scottish ones. So um, they're still trying to see if they're related to the Kinnell uh, um, uh, Kinlowen, or maybe it's been sort of actually disproven. I haven't checked recently, but it may have been disproven to be a native Irish branch in Donegal too. Um, uh, the Orient, Dorient. I know nothing about that name. Let me see if I've got anything in my notes. Let me see. I'll cheat tonight and I'll just quickly check this if I've got anything on my notes. Um, I, I'm not familiar with that name. So give me a second with that. The Orient sort of surname. I'm very excited to share that after an 11-month process, I've just received in the mail my official dual citizenship. Well, congratulations, Dave. Congratulations. I mean, just drop your other nationality altogether. Look, being Irish is the best thing on the planet. So, don't be, um, don't be having any other nationalities. No, just Irish. Once you move here as well, don't. I don't. Just move here from wherever you are all over the world. Become Irish. It's the best thing. Um. Okay. I'm not seeing anything on these. Let me try this one. Let me try this search here. I did watch an Irish history video that suggested that some Donegal families way back in the day migrated to West Scotland and ironically were planted back in Ulster, Antrim, and Down. Right, so there's been a lot of backwards and forwards between Ulster and Scotland for since the Neolithic period, there's a lot of backwards and forwards, and so you had families that were like the McSweeneys sort of claim the same sort of story that they are descended from Amrahan, the Prince of the Kinlochannel, moved across, and then settled in Scotland, and then sort of came back. A lot of the origin myths for Irish families, the Irish connection, a lot of it is actually fabrication. Anyway, the McSweeneys is probably a fabrication. Maybe not. DNA will sort of prove otherwise. The problem is that British nationalists use this political backwards and forwards. So the Dalriada were a Brythonic group, and sort of moved across in the early sort of 3rd century, 4th century. That they are no 300 BC. Sorry. So this Brythonic group moved across. They became Irish because about 100 years later, roughly, there is probably some overlap. The Q Celtic speaking people. So you had the Brythonic P Celtic speaking people that came across from Scotland and Northern England into sort of Ireland, and then from mainland Europe you have the Q Celtic speaking people. And then they merge together and they make the Irish language, they make the Irish culture, they make the and the peace speaking Celtic people become the Dalriada. And then they move back to Scotland. They're obviously, they have connections to Scotland. They move back to Scotland. They have lands in Scotland, and then the Kinlowen rise up and beat them in the 5th century. And a lot of British nationalists use this sort of backwards and forwards to sort of like claim antiquity to Ulster. So it's a very problematic thing to say, oh, this family moved across and then moved back, so therefore, this is like claim they were just moving back. When it's not as, you're talking millennium here. You're talking centuries upon centuries ago. So, and then it just opens up a whole discourse. It's not something that would probably take a whole evening to discuss. But it's a bit of a minefield. And also most of the plantations were by Lowland Scots and Northern English, not by the Gaelic speaking families. So it's very small. It makes up a very small number. I do have for the Orient French Huguenots. It's a French Huguenot name. Came to Ireland from France, and Yeah, they were with the Huguenots, who were French Protestants who were discriminated against and quite brutally in France and were settled in Ireland. I think this video had some genetic evidence. Yeah, there is, like I say, we've got uh, there's there's genetic evidence, like I say, of multiple migrations backwards and forwards, um, uh, between Ireland, Scotland, England, Europe. We're so like Europe as a whole. We're just so interconnected from centuries. So, um, you know, it's a British or Irish nationalists. I don't really get involved. Not on this channel anyway. Uh, but yeah, there's like British nationalism and its claim. If you ever if you were Dr. Ian Adamson's sort of claims to Irish history uh, are well, it's almost along the lines of aliens built the pyramids. Anyway, I'm diverging. O'Sullivan from Kerry, please. Also, go to the Red Button channel. I have a full 20-minute video on them. Uh, uh, Ireland is so appealing, especially with our luck across the pond right now. Oh, I know. We're just. Someone I always said, luck of the Irish, but what's lucky about our history? But maybe our luck. Maybe one day our luck will turn. Anyway, O'Hanlon, please. O'Hanlon is. I believe the O'Hanlons were my family's like overlords centuries ago. So that's a. There you go. So if do I have to send you tribute? um, yes, the O'Hanlons are from a place from their like heartland is a place called Tandragee. In fact, their castle, which was then sort of confiscated, given to another family, some from Manchester, I think, or some association to Manchester. They is now a crisp factory for the best crisps found on the island of Ireland, and that's Tito Crisps, the northern branch, not the ones from the south. But yeah, they were part of the E Neil, not to be mixed up with the E Neil, and they're they were chiefs of Oriel, and they're primarily just South Armagh is the most is where they come from. The name is found all the way down into Longford. It seems to be that they are all related, but not from a direct line. So it seems that later on, Erchelen sort of individuals would adopt, or later cousins related far earlier would adopt the Hanlon name, which is why you find Hanlon all over the southeast of Ulster. The is sometimes anglicised to Hanlon. But it's very rare. It's very rare indeed. So most Hanlons can sort of attribute themselves to the same descent from the from the kings of Erchiela. Right. Start to slow down. See here. Heart me, Snowflake Express. I see your name. Don't worry. I see your name. I will get to it. I promise. I will get to it. Oh, my internet's getting a bit unstable. Don't be doing this to me now. Don't be doing this to me now. You'll get in trouble. Internet, you've already cut me off once tonight. It's like no matter where I move to, I'm. How are we doing? How are we doing, internet? Let me see. Okay, I think we're alright. We're alright. Right. I don't have any. I do have a video on the O'Reillys, who are their cousins, that sort of gives some early history on the family. If you want to just watch that for now, I've started to get a bit. I've been on for nearly 2 hours. It starts to get a bit tiring after on the brain, and my internet's starting to play up a bit as well. So I'll maybe just do this one, and then we will convene again. I'm back. Yes, Matt. Yeah, the internet keeps dropping, so we might have to sort of cut it soon. But I owe Snowflakes Express and Tara. You don't have to send roses. I'll get Callahan in there as well. And Macaulay, check out the Macaulay video. That'll tell you all you need to know about Macaulay. But for now, anyway. But I don't know if my internet's going to hold up, so I'll definitely do your Callahan one. I'll definitely do that. But I don't know if my internet's going to hold much longer. Right, I think it's sort of stabilised a wee bit. So, what's the difference between McKeown and McKeown? Nothing. Just spelling. They're all related, but there's multiple unrelated branches. I hope you're well. Hi, Charlie. Thanks very much. Welcome in. I'm well. Yeah, so we were talking about the Rainy. We were going to talk about Rainy or all its variations, Rennie, and all its sort of variations of the name. Yeah, so the first one is the Offaly line is it's O'Rigneys or Rinny or Rainy. There's a lot of sort of variations of it, but they're traditionally associated with the O'Rigneys. Traditionally associated with the barony of Gary Castle in Offaly. So there's that branch is probably the more famous and most numerous of all the families. Then you have it's associated with the McRaneys in Galway as well. So in around in Mayo is another name where another sort of the native Irish sort of branch of it. Then you have the Rainies in Antrim and Down. It's a Scottish and English name, but most Rainies in Ulster are of English descent. It's quite a high number. I believe DNA is sort of proving that most Rainies are English descent in Ulster. But you also have it can also be a corruption of McReynolds or Reynolds. So there's some overlap there too. So yeah, Rennie is the branches. So who was that? Which one of my lovely members, super fans, was asking for stay connected? Stay connected. No, you're very welcome. Snowflakes. Tara. Yeah, Callahan, please. I sent a bunch of. You're a member, so. Is that Um, okay, so Callahan comes from a number of um, uh, branches. The most famous branch is obviously the Callahans um, from Munster. You know, they're famously associated with a very famous king in the 10th century called Callahan of Cashel. And it's from him that they sort of take their hereditary sort of surname. But you also have the Callahans of Erchiela, um, and they were kings of the Brestle, so they're associated with Armagh, um, and so you get a lot of Callahans in Armagh too. And there's a few sort of really small, ambiguous sort of septs, like the one that's near Ballina, Sligo and Mayo. It's on the border of Sligo and Mayo. These are attested in the annals, but they're not really. They sort of disappear. You know, they get one brief sort of mention and then they just sort of disappear. Um, so you do have like references of this name being found in other places in Ireland, but it's just not um, uh, as famous there, and they may have died out. They may have been absorbed by another group. Um, so um, there's no way of knowing. But yeah, so the first ones are the associated with the Brestle, part of the Kingdom of Erchiela, and the most famous ones are, like I say, the ones in Munster, from Callahan of Cashel, who was the king of Cashel. um, Burn, I have a full 20 odd minute video on the Burn. Uh, uh, Feel free to check it out. Johnson from County Down, Newton Ards. Yeah, they are of plantation stock, so they came across Ireland in the 17th century. And they owned like the castle in Kirkeston down near Cloughy. They had a manor house out here. I can't remember what it's called. It's now a whiskey on the factory, and I believe William of Orange sort of stayed there for a night. There are native Irish Johnsons, but they're traditionally associated with Cork, and they are from descended from the O'Neills. So, yeah, but the Johnsons from the Arch, sort of peninsular Newton Arch, are plantation stock. Uh, um, where exactly were those Armagh Callahans? Were they rulers? Were they under the O'Hanlons? Yes, they'd have been under the O'Hanlons. Um, hang on, let's get that. I think I've got the map here. Map. Boo, boo, boo. Let's have a. No, it's not on there. Anyway, I thought I could zoom in on the map there, but it's not on there. Yeah, the Brestle are it's the from O'Neill land, from the east side. Um, excuse me. So they would have been the O'Hanlons, and then the O'Neills of the Fews obviously came in later on and dominated that area. So they'd have been eventually absorbed into the O'Neill's sphere of influence rather than the O'Hanlons. But originally they would have been under the O'Hanlons, because they're part of the wider Erchielin kingdom. So the O'Neills are the sort of supplanters in the area. If you're born in Ireland, do you automatically have one of these last names? No. There's so many surnames that aren't traditionally native to Ireland to, years of an interconnected world have made us a beautiful variety of surnames that can be found on this island. Some are newer than others, but it's not a problem. Anyway, I'm going to end it. I'm a Devlin. Can you review? Yeah, there's a couple of Devlins. The most famous Devlins are part of the O'Neills from a place called Ardbow, and then you have another branch over here. So Sligo, Mayo, Cervera, Roscommon, Leitrim, but they're unrelated. But I'm gonna end it there because what would Hughes be? I'm not sure if it's an original clan name. I'm told it came from McHugh. Yeah, I've got a Hughes video near the bottom of my TikTok. If you go down, can you scroll to the top right to Lynch real fast? Well, there's two Lynches. There's two Lynches, Tara. I've got this Lynch and this Lynch. They're unrelated. Are O'Farrell original Ireland? Yes, O'Farrell are from Leitrim. I did Callahan. The Tara. Oh, Callahan and Lynch. Yes. Sorry, there's that's the Ulster branch. Sorry, they're related. Those Callahans are related. Sorry, I totally forgot about that branch. Yes, so they're part of the Dalriada, and were displaced by the McDonalds and McRorys. Good spot there, Tara. Good spot. Right. No, you're very welcome. Right, I'm gonna end it here. More information will always come in the videos. Anyway, I'll always put more video. I've done Murray, Johnny. Sorry, Murray. But I'm gonna end it here. I will be back tomorrow for a members only. Not members. Sorry. Tomorrow, probably. I don't know if we'll get it connected to TikTok. We'll try, but we'll most likely be on YouTube. We'll be doing with Dr. Owen O'Neill and Philip Hayes at Irish Medieval History. We'll be doing the history of Irish cattle raiding, and its importance and the reason for it and how it happened. Then on Friday, I'll be back on Death. Feel free to come across if you're a super fan or member or become one. Help the channel. That'd be great. We'll do this again. Maybe edit the map as well. But if I missed your name, I'm very sorry to all those gifted. Sarah Lee, Byra. I don't know. That's Eastern European. Patrick, Sarah Lee, Tara. Stay connected. Thank you so much, Vanessa. If I did miss your name, I'm sorry. Susie Q. Wonder. Bent Dutch Halo, Pine Tree, VJSMXO. Thanks, Polycraft. Just subscribe, love what you're doing. Thank you very much. Is Costello on there? Yes, it is on there. It's Costello. They're a branch of the Burkes. So I will. If you're not a member or anything like that, or a super fan, a YouTube member or a super fan, then don't worry. I'll be back next week, or I might even just drop in and do some random live. So thank you so very much, everyone, and have a great night. Slán go fóill. Oh, right. YouTube. Thanks very much, guys. Sorry for the drop earlier. Appreciate you popping in, spending time with me, and I will speak to you all very soon. And mostly, I'll see you again tomorrow. So have a great night, guys.